Hello and welcome. I hope you're safe and well. Today's exciting episode is a sewing vlog. Well, it's more of a beading sagas situation and I'm shooting it over a few days. I thought I was going to just film for 2 weeks and then turn that into an episode, but it's just a few days.
It's perfect. Perfect, perfect, perfect. Perfect jacket.
So the last thing that I made was I turned this gorgeous, weird fabric. It's elements of 1960s, elements of 1970s, all mushed together in this weird floral design in gorgeous colors. So I was originally going to make one Chanel style jacket, but then I decided to make two tiny boleros. And that way I can do two different types of beading. So one of them is going to have flowers shaped beads on it. And they're sort of going to hang down and they're going to be on the very bottom of the jacket. But the other one is, I don't know, I've got some magenta. So that was just a quick version of me. There's a whole separate video of me making the jackets, and this is what they look like once they were done. So yeah, this one has these beautiful mauve peony roses with scarlet centers on like pretty much both sleeves, both fronts and the back, whereas the other one sort of got more of the autumny tones and magenta, and it's just absolutely beautiful, and it's got a real gold feel to it. So at first I was like, oh, I've got this gold flower shaped sequins, maybe, and then spoiler alert, I ended up getting out other things, and as I was going through my beads trying to find the ones I'm looking for, which I do get to eventually, I found these ones. And one of my Make 9 jackets, I haven't made any Make 9 jackets yet, so one of them is a cottage garden jacket, and it's going to be green base, and then it's going to have tiny little flowers spotted all over it. And so I've got these really expensive pale pink ones in a couple of different designs. And I don't know, I think they might be a little bit big for the cottage garden jacket, but also they'd get lost in like a regular floral jacket. And I've also got these, if you know my dragonfly jacket, I call it dragonfly because it's got dragonfly beads on it. Well, these are jewelry beads, like they're metal, and the gold coated ones. And they're dragonflies. So I'm thinking of putting them in the cottage garden jacket because from far away, they sort of look like bees because they're so tiny. So yeah, I thought I would do that. So I was sorting out my flowers because the big flower ones look good in a flower jacket, but the smaller ones get lost. So I was like, oh, get out all the smaller ones and I'll use them in the cottage garden jacket. And I don't like the yellow ones. I think they're too much. I think the orange, the deep orange, the pinks and the mauves all look beautiful together, but the yellows I'm not so sure about. So these are the ones for the actual floral jacket. So if you know my grey flower jacket with the chandelier beading on it, it's kind of covered in flowers, and then I went over it and covered in more flowers. And I've also got some apricot and orange ones. So yeah, these were the seed beads I was looking for when I got distracted and went through all of those beads. They were in the same box. So these seed beads are the ones I was thinking of using for the second of those 1960s, 1970s floral jackets. But, and this is me pointing out, I also found some weird glossy flowers. So I'm going to use these in my brooch jackets. Actually, I think there's going to end up being more than one brooch jacket because I've got so many things that would look good as vintage brooches. So number 5 of my Make 9 for this year is make a jacket like the Alexander McQueen tuxedo. It's black and then it's just covered in these beadings that look like vintage brooches. And these ones here, you get these vintage brooches from the 1950s and 60s, and they're just loads of little enamel flowers. And I think I love these ones. I think they're supposed to be Daphne, like that's a brooch and matching earrings. And this one, it's ginormous and it's just so beautiful. So you could do it on like one of the sleeves or something. I think it would be too attention attracting on the center, like on the left or the right front of the jacket, but on one of the sleeves, I don't know what I was doing with the camera there, but this is the only footage I took of them. Oh, and I've got these amazing beads that, like, they could be the center of a vintage brooch, and then I could put pearls around it, and then I could put glass beads that look sort of like diamonds around that. So that's what I'm thinking about. So yeah, it's random, but they're all in the same box of beads. So I just took all the footage, and then when I was come to make the video, I just stacked all the footage in chronological order. So yeah, it's not taken back to back to back to back. It's just sort of me picking up my camera every now and again. Oh, and another box of beads. I found this second box of pink flowers. So I think there's going to be, now that I'm doing teensy tiny bolero jackets instead of a full-size jacket, there's basically twice as many flowers as I need. So I'm thinking I'll do the pink one and the green one, and then with the leftover pink ones, because there's more pink ones, I'll use fluoro green and maybe fluoro yellow, and make it very Bakelite. You know those brooches, because I've been looking at vintage brooches, you know those Bakelite ones in all those weirdly bright pastel colours? I think I'll do that. I don't know what I'm going to do with all those yellow ones. I guess I'll just use them in the yellow jacket, but the rest of them, I think I'm going to use them in the cottage garden jacket. And also when I was looking at vintage brooches, there's these vintage brooches from the 1950s where they're made by hand, and people sort of stitch together. In the pictures, it's eight seed beads around one central seed bead, but I've got these round seed beads that are plastic, and this is Eastern European beading, so it's just thread or wire and beads. They're not beading onto anything. That's the actual strictly, that's what beading is supposed to be. It's what I do is embellishment, because I make a jacket and then I bead onto that, so that's technically embellishment. And technically beading is where there's just thread and just beads, and if you cut the thread you would end up with a pile of beads and some cut bits of string. That's all there is in there. So yeah, I really like this one. And now that I see this cream flower on that boho heart fabric in beige, I kind of want to make a little bolero plus I've got enough for a dress, but it's enough that I could just cut a little bit out of it, half a yard out of it, and make a tiny, tiny jacket as well. And I could do the cream daisies on there, or beige daisies. It would look so cute. Anyway, so I finally got to the seed beads that I wanted. So, because the brown and dark, like antique gold ones that I had, I don't know, I feel like they're too dark for this. So then I remembered I had some brighter, more ambery tones of gold. And then I went digging again, and I found some purpley mauve skull. They're ceramic beads with a glaze on them. So if they were just ceramic, they would be quite fragile, but they've got this really thick layers of glaze over them as well. So they're still a little fragile, but usable in a jacket. So I'm thinking of maybe mixing them in the flower one. And yes, so I finally got to the box with the flowers. So these are the flowers for the shorter jacket, and they're going to the flowers are going to be around the bottom of the jacket, around the neckline, around the cuffs. And yeah, so that's where I finished yesterday. And then I went on Pinterest again at night, and I love these colours. So I'm thinking of doing a couple of, oh, this is the brooch, I found it again. So this is from the 1950s and someone actually made it. These are two, the vintage brooches. You can tell there's kind of, the thread inside gets pollution, absorbs pollution, and that's why they look a bit dodgy, some of the white ones. And yeah, so a couple of these brooches, they use beads that are flower shaped and anchor it with a seed bead. Oh, this one I love. This person clearly knows how to make umbrellas and clearly knows how to do flowers. And they're like, I'm going to do an umbrella full of flowers. So anyway, I got distracted. This is the one I love. And yeah, because I'm using different seed beads to the style they've got, I can make that daisy one with 6 petals on the outside and 1 in the middle. So I think I might do that for the cottage garden jacket. But I also really, really love this brooch, and I'm tempted to put it on like the back or the sleeve of one of the brooch jackets. I wouldn't use white in the flowers, and for the basket I'd use 2 browns. But apart from that, I love it. And this is me showing you my messy, messy, messy desk. And I've got a storage box that's got sequins in it. So yes, it would be too heavy if there were beads. It would be too heavy to lift up, absolutely. But these are sequins. So yes, I've got lots to use up. And beads, the beads are, when I did my bead KonMari a million years ago, I put them in storage boxes and then I just have to sort of push them around because they're too heavy to move. So eventually over the years, I've been taking them out of the storage boxes and I found some more golden ones. So the longer jacket is going to have golden and magenta beading on it, and this jacket here, I think I'm going to use the brown and the antique gold beads to string on strings, hang down the flower beads, maybe. I think that's the way I'm going to go. And then I love this jacket. The colours in it are just amazing. I do love that one side is magenta and one side is all the different amber golds, but it would just look weird. So when I do the beading, they're going to be mixed together. But I was tempted, but yeah, I love this colour combination. And now when I'm doing the brooches, I'm thinking maybe I'll have one that's just green, like emeralds and diamonds and silver and gold. And then I'll have another one in these warm, beautiful, beautiful tones, like amber, brown, vintage, antique gold, and yeah, all those, and purple and magenta all mixed together. And then, yeah, so I might do a couple of different ones because I'm doing boleros. They're so tiny. I think I could do a couple of different vintage brooch jackets, but we will see. That's very ambitious. It is fun to dream up all the different types of brooch jackets. I think maybe I'd do a mixed one because that's what attracted me to those jackets in the first place. But I think I'd just wear a green one. Anyway, there are going to be many videos about the brooch jackets. So I've got the 2 jackets and the 2 lots of beads for each, but then I play musical beads. So this is what I thought I would be using, but then, so this is the flower one. It's the cropped jacket, the shorter jacket, and it's purples, browns. I'm just going to show you. I got out one of everything. So I've got these big ones that are going to dangle down on a string of beads, and then I've got some smaller or flatter ones that are going to just sort of dot their way up from the bottom. So it's going to go print and then half print, half bead flowers, and then hanging off the bottom of the jacket is going to be all bead flowers. So it's going to be like a transition. So yeah, the bigger flatter ones, or just all the flatter ones, are going to be on the jacket part, and then the ones that will look better dangling are those ones. And I did think about using the sort of orangey ones in here as well, but just to brighten it up. But I think I'll just go with the brown and the gold. And if I decide that the antique gold is looking a bit too dark, I'll add some brighter gold in there, because I think, yeah, it's sort of more ambery, brighter gold. So, and then for this jacket, this is the one with the slightly longer and slightly puffed sleeves. This one, I decided that I was going to do... it's going to be strings of beads, fringing sort of look. And I decided those lavender or mauve beads are too light, so I take them out, but I keep all the rest. And actually those greyish purple ones I put over on the other side because, I don't know, I end up using a few of them, but yeah, not really. I think the orange ones look better on this side. Just, I don't know, this one has a more boho feel to it. Bohemian feel to it, whereas the one with the flowers, I mean, they're just different. They're sort of both a little aggressively quirky, but this one is, yeah, I don't know, this just suits it. It's going to look like a lampshade in a minute when you see what I do. So yeah, I think these are all just the right colors. And I was going to do a string of beads, and then there's going to be something hanging on the bottom. So I did think about those wood diamonds, but they're actually plastic, and if they banged into each other, you'd hear a plastic sound, not a wood sound, which I think would be off-putting. And then those mauve and purple ones, I like them too. They're plastic again. And then I do have these glass gold ones, but yeah, I can use them in my brooch jacket, whereas these keys, I tried to use them on one tweed jacket, and they're much smaller than I thought they would. They look much smaller on a tweed jacket than I thought they would. They very much look like bits of necklace, like little charms or something like that. So what I'm going to do is use these colours. And my original idea was to do blocks of colour. So coral, then into dark red, then into magenta purple, then into gold, and then into dark gold. I end up changing my mind, but that was my original idea. So I decided, and I added some of the leftover grey flower beads into this one as well, because I originally had them in that mix, but then I took them out and then put them back in. So I'm happy with this mix. So I'll have to scooch all these flowers over. So I put them back in their bag and I move them out of the way because I'm going to do the other jacket first. And then, yeah, because they're both similar technique, but this one is going to be less complicated. Also, I thought because it's the little jewellery keys rather than those big awkward flower things. So, yeah, this is what we're doing. So then I cut all those plaits and took the strings out, and so everything is just beads now, and that way I can work out, okay, I can use this much on the front, this much on the back, and this much around the neck and the cuffs of the sleeves, and it helps me work out how much I've got of everything. So yeah, I started, and they're in blocks of color, and at first the blocks were too small, so then after the sort of light coral or apricot, I go a little bit bigger string of the metallic magenta ones. And I mean, I do like it, but you just I'm going to have to do at least 3 layers of these, and I don't know, I know what it's going to look like, and it's not what I want. I ended up just putting it on the mannequin. You'll see it on the mannequin in a minute. Also, the tension is a little bit wrong. I needed to leave it just a tiny, tiny bit looser so that the strings of beads can just sit down instead of sort of splashing out then down. So yeah, I mean, I really like this, but I don't know, it kind of has lampshade vibes. I mean, you know, that's not a bad thing. They're tiny boleros with loads of beading on them. Of course, they're going to look like a bejeweled lampshade. But yeah, I do like this, but see how sparse it looks when you can see, I don't know. Later on, I'll mix all the beads together. In a moment, it took me a while to do it. So yeah, I left it like this on the mannequin for a bit because, I mean, I like it and I could have kept going, but I decided to just leave it there and go off and do other things. And then eventually, I think this is when I came back. Yeah, there was a thunderstorm, so the lighting is not great, even though I was working during the day. So yeah, and as I said, I do like it, but you would just have to do. I want to do only 3 layers in this around the bottom, and because I don't have that many of those little jewelry keys. And I was just worried that this particular style of beading, you would need 4 or 5 rows to make the fringe look really impressive and not stringy. So yeah, I just sort of left it there and went away, and I was like, well, I hope that looks better when I come back. It did not. So yeah, I decided to, as I said, mix all the beads together, and immediately this just looks so much better for, like, I don't know what, I can't explain it, but when you look at a bead mix, you sort of know that it's going to look good. And yeah, this just looks, I feel like the fabric, the print of it has a real bohemian, I don't know, 1960s flower, psychedelic, or 1970s cool chick vibe to it. And this just suits it so much more. So this is a long time later, long time later, I did the whole of one front. So from the underarm down this front and then up around the neckline to the shoulder. So yeah, I've done half. And this is me just showing you the back so I obviously forgot that I just had all that footage of the back. But this is the back again because I hadn't seen the back. I'd been working on the front. And here we go. I'm just turning the mannequin round. So I went along the front to the corner, then I went up, and then I went around the neckline. And I've stopped at the shoulder because I've got more small keys than big keys. So I'm going to do the other front. And if I've still got big keys after that, then I'll use them on the back of the neckline. But if I don't, it will look better if I use them up on the front. I was originally also going to do fringe with the key at the bottom around the cuffs of the sleeves. But I don't know, I'm going through these little jewellery charms at a faster rate, much faster rate than I thought I would. I love the way it looks, but I'm not sure I'll have enough to do the cuffs. We will see. I think with the fringe, the 3 rows of fringe that I'm going to do around the hem of the jacket, you could have only 1.5 rows with keys and the other 1.5 row just a fringe with no key. I think that would work. It would make it look full and lush, but I don't think you'd miss the keys on that. And yeah, I know they are a bit dense here, but that's kind of what I like about it. And I should have left the sound in. In the video where I show you the finished thing, I'll leave a bit of sound in. It sounds a little bit not as good at the moment. Once the whole jacket's done, maybe I'll hold it on a coat hanger and do it. It's getting to the point where it's got a very impressive metallic sort of jingly sound. And yeah, so you can see what it's going to look like eventually, and I'm really happy with it. It's different than I thought it would be. I guess I was used to, the Paris jacket, how it had the thick green beads. I guess, yeah, these stringy ones are very stringy, especially around the back, the hem. But I do like it. And yeah, I really like it. I think the triangle on the back, the design feature, I think it's going to be transparent, sort of magenta hot pink and red beads that are, yeah, bigger ones, so it doesn't take forever to do. But I think, yeah, I think that'll go really well with this. It's sort of a darker cherry red, with that touch of blue in there. So I think that's what I'll do. And I was going to do beads around the shoulder, like the top of the shoulder as well, just a few. But again, I'm really going through these keys. So yeah, we will see. But I really like it. It's definitely different than any other jacket that I have. Oh, and if you want to know how I did the beading, I've got a separate beading video, the Kandinsky one. So the last type of beading in that video, I think I do 10 or 11 different types of beading. The last one is the most technically complicated, demanding one. And yeah, that's the type of beading I do here. You sort of have to do every second one short, every second one can be a bit longer, but you can't do every single one long because it's sort of like a counterweight and system. So yeah, that is it for this video. I was going to do a video on free PDF patterns. If you're absolutely dying, go to Mood Fabrics and click on Society. And you just have to give them your email address or something, and then you can download all the free PDF patterns that they have there. But I was just going to go through the ones that I personally like. But there's like hundreds on there, or dozens and dozens, and they sort of add a couple every month. So it's all different. If you don't like things that are in fashion at the moment, or you're looking for something that's the opposite season or something like that, they've got a really good range because they just add a couple every month, like solidly. They have been doing so for years. So there's a really, really good range. And there's a lot of basics, but also some tragically on-trend things that obviously now aren't. And yeah, so anyway, I am off to, I think I might go and look at some more vintage brooches because there are some really, really amazing ones. But I also have to sort of look at my bead collection and work out what can work with what sort of thing. So yes, that's what I'm enjoying, looking at all those vintage brooches at the moment though. See, I like this one here. I've got big beads, and I can put a sort of a cluster of them together and then thread sort of gold beads in between, so it looks like gold holding all the bigger beads together. And then there's ones where there's just a couple of one or two feature beads and all the rest are small. So I have the beads to do that sort of thing too. So I'm looking at all the different shapes, so like the silhouette of each bead. But there's also, oh my gosh, some of these are just delightfully silly and so ridiculously bling. But yeah, I love the diamond and emerald ones. So I don't know. Would it be too boring if it was an entire jacket of them? I don't know. Anyway, I'll get on my beads out and see. So that's it for this video. I am, yes, clearly going to just go and look at some more vintage brooches. And then I will get back to this eventually. And it's really enjoyable, this one. It's kind of, because you have to make sure nothing gets tangled, and I have to sort of sit it on top of glass jars with a book on top of it to sort of, so that everything hangs down and not in the way of each other. It's quite technical, but it's also really enjoyable because I'm like, and then I'll put this color on, and then I'll put this color on. It's fun. Anyway, that is it for this video. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you've been inspired to make something a little lampshady for yourself, or, unique and fun. Thanks again for watching, and happy sewing.